All right, good morning. And today we want to talk about something very, very simple, but very, very important, which a lot of you probably you might be doing it, or maybe you are missing it when it comes to your journey as a Scrum Master. So I want to take about a couple of minutes just to break it down on what you should be focusing on and what can really help you to make those giant steps when you are in your journey trying to get a job. Now, let's keep it very simple, right? Sometimes what kind of really keep us in one spot is because we make things very complicated. All right. I know the first problem, a lot of people kind of, not the problem. First complaint is we need to work. You cannot be wanting to do a transition and then maybe you pull out from work like, oh, I need to pull out 2 months, then I get this, and then if I don't get this, no. If you're doing that, that's the wrong strategy. Now, this is the best way to approach your journey in anywhere you're doing a transition. The first thing is about getting a habit. If you can invest 1 hour every day consistently within 7 days, that is 7 hours. Pick a particular date in the week. Maybe you work from 7 to about 8 p.m., then try getting up about 5:30. Put in 1 hour every day consistently in trying to understand all the different events. That's the baseline. If you cannot explain the different events from spring or iteration planning, daily stand-up, we go to reviews, retrospective. If you're in the PI environment, or if you're in the PI environment, explain what happened in the PI and the role of Scrum Master during the PI, then there's something you're missing. So number one thing, have a habit. Habit means have a schedule. Put on your schedule exactly the time you want to invest on your journey as a Scrum Master. That's the first thing. I recommend early in the morning a very productive hour. My day start every day at 4:55. It depends. It took me quite some time to be able to align to that schedule. It might take you about a month. You might not be an early morning person, but it's kind of, I would say it's relevant to get uncomfortable in order to find comfort, right? Now, the second thing you want to do when you get a schedule, have a plan. What is my focus in my first week of study? I want to be able to understand a step-by-step process, how to run a sprint planning meeting. Now, don't just understand it in your head, write it down. Many of you don't even have a book. Find a book which you can be able to write sprint planning, step 1, step 2, step 3. Daily stand-up, step 1, step 2, step 3. Review, step 1, step 2, step 3. And then go in there and figure out what is your role as a Scrum Master. Why is this very important? This is very important because if you're working with a coach like me, now you can ask me a question on sprint planning. I'll be able to give you the response, but if I respond 10 times, I may say it in a different way. Why? Because I already have a mastery of it. So when you have a mastery of something, most often there's no one specific way of saying it. What you want to do is to be able to master this event in such a way that you can roll it out at any time from any angle. When you do that, now the next phase, which is my next advice for you, is to invest the time and resources to make sure it is practical. One of the stuff that really helped me when I was kind of towards my own first phase as a Scrum Master, in my wall, I will have a 2 weeks calendar. I will go in there, I virtually put to Wednesday, my sprint planning, I put the rest of the day daily stand up. On the last day, I come and put review and retrospective. Then if you look at your calendar like that, Scrum Master, like, okay, all the other days, you're just having 15 minutes. What else are you doing? And now that brings in the importance of self-organization, where you now start feeding schedule on how you create time to help your team, on how you create time to talk with your manager, on how you create time to help your PO. You can now visualize that. If you can draw that calendar and put it somewhere that you're going to see it almost every time, in less than 1 month, you're going to master everything about Scrum. The reason why it's kind of really frustrating when we go for interviews and it seems like they're not coming is because we are not investing the right strategy at the right time. And sometimes it's taking longer. So the shortest way for you to get to that journey and nail it is to be able to, first of all, have a schedule. Don't just study when you feel like studying. Consistency is one of the master plan of success. Invest at least 1 hour, recommend 2 hours a day, consistent. The baseline, start by understanding all the events, and then when you understand all the events, go and understand the role of the Scrum Master in that event. When you understand all the roles of the Scrum Master in that event, remember now, you now start picturing out the environment. If you're working as a Scrum Master in a herd environment, a bank environment, it's kind of the same activity. But now the difference is when it comes to situational questions and the people you need to deal with. And then when you understand all of those basics, you can take a step ahead to understand a bit about the technical environment, the kind of software that you're building, the kind of team size that you want to have, and all of that. So very, very important. And the last thing, when I understand all the basics of what I need to do as a Scrum Master and all the events, I want to understand the tools. How do I use Microsoft Teams? How do I use Slack? How do I use Conference? How do I use SharePoint? How do I use Jira? You need to master at least the basic of the tools and know and practically do it. Most of the tools, you can get them for free. Conference, you can create an account, SharePoint, Jira. The difference you're going to have with Jira is that the free account you have with Jira is going to have a different interface from an enterprise Jira bot, which is why getting a place where you can practice, you can be able to have someone that can walk you through an enterprise Jira bot is very, very important. So this is just some of the tips I want to throw over to you for this weekend to look into. And definitely, if you have any question, you can always reach out. We'll always make sure that we can see how to point you in a different direction. Right, great.